As much as we dwell on Cinderellas in the tournament, it's the big conferences that hog most of the bids. Like in 2022, when 9 Big Ten teams were vying for the title. If we don't count the Big East, you have to go all the way back to 2014 when a mid-major earned as many as 6 bids. That was the Atlantic 10 Conference. But this year, we could see 6 Mountain West Conference teams make the big dance. And because that league was represented in the national championship game last year, and several members have way exceeded expectations this season, we should take a closer look. Welcome to our Bracket Wisdom series on the Football Analytics Show podcast. I'm Edward Egros on assignment for the Power Rank. Let's begin with a disclaimer. The Power Rank's member rankings do not have any Mountain West teams ranked highly. So why should we care? Well, consider it a case study. The NCAA tournament features variance, and this league is solid, especially considering no mid-major is ranked more highly than this one, per net rankings and virtually every other metric out there. Is there signal to be found despite none of these teams earning high seeds, knowing full well it's best to avoid picking too many upsets when filling out your bracket? Profiling a few teams may help us answer these questions, and we'll begin with San Diego State. And how could we forget that run last year? The upset win over one-seeded Alabama, the elite half-court defense, and of course, Lamont Butler's buzzer beater to make it to the title game. In the offseason, the Aztecs lost 5 players out of its 9-man rotation, including Matt Bradley and Nathan Mensah. Jaden Ledee is back, and that's important as he's San Diego State's leading scorer, averaging more than 20 a game, doing much of his work with post-ups. He's also been excellent in transition, which is interesting given the team does not record an overwhelming number of steals. Also on the roster is Jay Powell, a senior transfer from Campbell who's been critical defensively. Look no further than that game-saving block he had against San Jose State. Worth your time to look it up if you haven't seen it already. Just wait until after the episode is over. Thank you. Other senior contributors include guard Micah Parrish, Darian Trammell, and of course, the aforementioned Lamont Butler. The real genius of this team is the ability to get to the charity stripe. Bart Torvik ranks the Aztecs' free throw rate around 60th in the country. Ledee and Powell do a lot of damage there with the fraction of free throw attempts per field goal attempts at 65% or better for each player. If the tenor of a game involves a lot of whistles, chances are that should favor San Diego State. Remember this fact when potentially live betting one of their games. And once again, Brian Dutcher has his guys playing elite defense at a top 10 level per the power rank. Where one has to be careful, though, is how they operate at this end of the floor. Though they give up a lot of shots from 3, opponents make these attempts at one of the lower rates in college basketball. Now, that being said, the Aztecs are able to drain the opponent's shot clock, often having them hoist a bad shot just to avoid a violation. It's why their pace hovers around 250th in the sport. Some of their non-conference wins are extraordinary, like a 25-point blowout against St. Mary's, another double-digit victory over Gonzaga, and several notches over Pac-12 competition. Somehow, San Diego State will not win the regular season Mountain West title. There are few games where they've been on the receiving end of a thrashing, but all of those losses have been away from home. We will discuss this very topic in a future episode, but playing exceptionally well at home actually might be more of a red flag than something where at least you, the basketball fan, can believe in the ceiling. It's also worth noting just how challenging it is for a team to make back-to-back Final Four appearances. Even if, say, San Diego State is better than last year, the path and basic variance may be bigger challenges. The Aztecs are still formidable, but it's worth seeing if other teams in this league could go farther in the tournament. Preseason polls do carry some weight when projecting the tournament, so perhaps it's worth listening to the next few minutes of accolades for Utah State with a grain of salt. After all, the Aggies were picked to finish 9th in the conference. First-year head coach Danny Sprinkle enjoyed success in 4 years at Montana State, making the big dance in back-to-back seasons. But this is the Mountain West. This is Utah State. This is different. Well, apparently not. Despite a non-conference slate that doesn't pop off the paper it's printed on, they can boast wins over the Aztecs, Boise State, and UNLV. Keep in mind, while Utah State made the tournament in 2021, Sprinkle didn't inherit any of those players. He had to recruit and work with who was already there. It's why there are already reports Sprinkle is the favorite to land an even bigger job after the season ends. The offensive load is more evenly distributed than with many other tournament teams. 4 different Aggies average double-figure scoring, and 2 of them are seniors, Darius Brown II and Ian Martinez. Recently, Brown knocked down 7 three-pointers in a big win over San Jose State. He's one of only 2 Aggies who can reliably knock down such shots, but Martinez, as a winger, has a great mid-range game and a free throw percentage hovering around 85%. Frontcourt option Great Osabor, who played for Sprinkle at Montana State, is a double-double machine and a finalist for the Karl Malone Award given to the top power forward in the country. As a team, their effective field goal rate is approximately 55%, or top 40 in America. Getting to the basket and to the line are their priorities, all while emphasizing ball movement. In fact, their assist rate of greater than 55% is one of the better marks going. It's also impressive to see the rate of their shots getting blocked at last check is the lowest rate in America at 5.6%. Lastly, defensive rebounding is something you'll notice watching them, limiting extended possessions by their foes. Even though the Aggies have been ranked in media polls for much of this calendar year, the power rank is more pessimistic, placing them outside the top 50 at last check. Why is this the case? Well, the things they excel at are not things that normally lead to consistent winning, while the bigger indicators are not in their favor. Effective field goal rate allowed, for instance, is around 100th nationally. Turnover rate at both ends is suspect. Three-point shooting defense, phenomenal, sure, but what if they face a hot shooting team? Having a great Mountain West record is impressive, but be careful advancing Utah State too far in your bracket. One Mountain West group the power rank is more bullish about is Boise State, with almost the same member rating as their Aztec counterparts. Other than San Diego State, the Broncos were the only ones to receive multiple first-place votes in the preseason poll. The experience on this roster stands out. Junior forward Tyson Degenhart is a decent jump shooter with a high basketball IQ. Omar Stanley camps down low and averages more than 6 rebounds per contest, but also displays a great mid-range game. And Chibuzo Agbo and Max Rice have also carried part of the offensive load. There's not any one thing the Broncos are elite at offensively, but overall, it's a top 50 unit, especially over these more recent games, as it's clear the ball movement and shooting are peaking at perhaps just the right time. Defensively, it's a different story, ranking number 1 in America in defensive rebounding. Limiting possessions is how the Broncos have stayed at or near the top of the Mountain West standings. Boise State did get off to a rough start, though, beginning the year 3-3 with losses to Clemson, Virginia Tech, no slouches, but also Butler. It did improve with a narrow victory over St. Mary's, but it's really how they've handled Mountain West foes that's driving the favorable metrics. Three-point shooting defense also matters here, but they do give up an average number of looks. But it's hard to argue that the Broncos may be as well-rounded a group as any in this league. As for the other Mountain West teams vying for bids, they are Nevada, Colorado State, and potentially New Mexico currently on the cusp. As far as mid-majors go, this conference doesn't have that one team destined for a top seed, but it's possible the makeup of the league, having a challenge every single contest, may resemble the NCAA tournament more than stretches of cupcakes. Especially with the ones we've detailed, path will matter. Thank you for listening to this episode of Bracket Wisdom on the Football Analytics Show podcast. I'm Edward Egros. Friendly reminder, after the field is announced, check out the Power Ranks March Madness cheat sheet that makes it drop dead easy to fill out your bracket. These predictions are based on analytics that have predicted the game winner in almost 70% of the last 15 tournaments. To get this cheat sheet, sign up for the free email newsletter at thepowerrank.com. That is Dr. Ed Fang's site for better March Madness predictions through analytics. Once again, that's thepowerrank.com. Members of the Power Rank get access to full bracket advice for how to win your pool. This includes the Power Rank's very best analytics, strategy, and insights into basketball. Members also get access to member predictions for each game and college basketball player props during the tournament. To learn more, go to thepowerrank.net. This is a URL that will take you to the page on the site dedicated to becoming a member of the Power Rank. Once again, that's thepowerrank.net. Thanks again for listening, and take care.